So we're on to the early modern period. And the question here is, how far was this similar to the medieval period? Is it just more of the same? Well, we got a couple of major changes that occurred during this period. The population of England changes significantly, doubling within 100 years. And going hand in hand with that is increased prices, falling wages, unemployment. So we can see there is going to be a lot of problems during this period. We also get some urbanisation during this period. More people move to towns, not as much as the industrial period, but 20% more living in towns than had done so at the start of this period, 20% more increase by 1750. And we get great wealth and great poverty existing side by side. So Gin Lane projects this image down here of the very poorest of society, desperately trying to survive. One of those ways they're surviving is by drinking, which of course causes more issue itself. Roads are built, communications improved. That brings its own crime, as we'll see very shortly. Printing press means there's the further crime of going against the state, but also people are eager to find out about crime that's going around. By 1750, we got 4 daily newspapers. The Tudor period sees more state control, but this is followed by the huge increase in unrest during the Civil War. And really important, this one at the bottom, we get a change in terms of the religion. Puritans increasingly gain control and moral crimes are pursued, and that again has an issue as a knock-on effect. Plus, as we get the debate swinging from one monarch to another, it becomes a crime to go against the monarch's religion, and that of course gives people a problem. So we have less violence between nobles during this period of time, and a new focus on new crimes, particularly coming from the mid-16th century. And then we get a decrease from mid-17th century, and that's all to do with the increase in population, rising prices, and then that stabilizing. And you can see that with these graphs here. So the issues, we get a spike, and then we get a relatively calming period. So not surprisingly, with the increasing population, we get food prices increasing, many roaming from village to village. We get a combination of two issues here. We get the printing press publishing Thomas Harman's book, which shows these images of these vagrants and the threat that they're causing, and that of course causes greater concern amongst people. As we get increase with Puritans, we get these moral crimes increasing, godly communities worried about drinking, swearing, gambling, sexual immorality. Major changes, specific crimes, an increase in witchcraft. We don't know specific figures, but it's likely to be hundreds. And then from the 1700s, as we get an increased focus on science, that actually decreases. As the government tries to put import taxes on, we get people smuggling goods in, and we could have up to 50 people involved in that, each with a different job, whether it be getting the ship, whether it be bringing the cargo onto shore, whether it then hiding it and selling it on. And we have examples of people being murdered during this. And as travel increases and people carry their money with them, their valuables with them, we get highway robbery becoming an issue, particularly during the time of Elizabeth I. Traditionally, we've got this image of the gentleman highwayman, but that's far from the truth. They're mostly rough thugs, and we've got some horrible crimes committed and examples of roughing up and killing. Hue and cry does continue. The role of sheriff decreases, and the major important thing is the role of the justice of the peace increases. The most serious crimes are now dealt with over 6 circuits, with 2 judges dealing with the most serious crimes. Assize is held at different towns twice a year. The JP Quarter Sessions dealt with petty crimes, but JPs also deal with other local issues like fixing the wages, with road mending. And by 1600, small groups of JPs met at petty sessions, and the manorial courts now have lost their sway. 2-year appointments of church wardens, constables, and overseers of the poor, often keeping involved in families. They know the offenders and dealt with them, so we still got a huge role of community. Now, in terms of punishments during this period, we get an increase in shaming punishments like public penance or use of pillory, cucking, ducking stools, scold's bridle, stocks, whipping, branding all more widespread. Perhaps not surprisingly when we got this more moral outlook with the rise of the Puritans. Prisons continue to be those who couldn't pay fines. The Tudors regulate prisons with the 1531 Jail Act, allowing JPs to build prisons where necessary, but actually they were very underused. It wasn't a common punishment. On the other hand, we do get a change with the vagrant bridewells. So these are houses of corrections where vagrants were forced to go, where they would be forced to work or physically punished. And the Vagrant Act of 1609 led to JPs building bridewells in every county. So it becomes more common as we got this fear of these people wandering from place to place, again, as poverty increases. We've also got, again, not surprisingly, in the turmoil of the 16th and 17th century, the major political changes there with the Tudors and then the Civil War, more capital punishment, more people being hanged, drawn and quartered. That links actually with the religious attacks on people as well, because there is more chance of people trying assassinations. A concern about the amount of executions or the amount of crimes occurring is reflected in what's known as the Bloody Code. This exists from 1688 to 1820, and what they basically did is they increased the amount of offences that could result in execution. So that goes up from 50 to 200 in 1820. So a huge increase. For example, included the 1723 Black Act, which included poaching. Now, it was supposed to be a deterrent, it was supposed to stop people from committing these crimes, but actually, because the punishment was so severe, the judges and juries were less willing to pass sentence on minor offences, and therefore the amount of executions actually decreased. And we now have a new type of punishment. We now get transportation, not to Australia yet, that happens later, but to North America and the West Indies, to the British colonies that existed there.